Hey there, welcome back. This is part 2 of building your own home. Like I mentioned in part 1, I hope you're able to catch it. There's so much complexity that goes along with building a home. And part 1, we talked about building in a subdivision or a development. And this time we wanted to hit on building in the country or like a rural area. Obviously there is a lot of complexity to this. So again, I have invited my broker, Steve Hopkins.
Thanks, Kristen.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us and hopefully shedding some light on this very
A little bit.
a little bit
Yeah.
very complex issue. But again, just to kind of recap, I know in last video we hit this, but you obviously been in real estate for several years, and then
Yes.
on top of that, you have also been a part of a lot of building developments, small, large,
Yes.
all of that. So you've seen a few things and you can definitely lend some insight.
Oh,
So on a rural or that country setting,
Sure.
what are some tips you can give us, some things to kind of hopefully ease the headaches that could potentially pop
Sure.
up?
Two biggest things that I would highly recommend looking at is looking at site work and
Okay.
cost of utilities. When I say site work, cost for a septic system, cost to put a driveway in, culverts, things of that nature that could vary greatly when you're looking at a country site, depending on elevation, depending on location. Those numbers can vary drastically. So I'd highly recommend meeting with a competent builder that knows the area, knows the site, and seek their advice as far as what the costs are going to be to build on.
That's so smart. I know, like, again, we talked about subdivisions before. A lot of that stuff is kind of already thought through
Correct.
in a subdivision. But when you're out there, I mean, no one thinks about like, oh, I got to spend 10 grand to put a driveway in. Like, a lot of people don't think about that as a cost, but that
Sure.
definitely, that's something that adds up very easily.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a substantial cost. Some sites, depending on the elevation and the type of soil, it can be very, not inexpensive, but less expensive to build on versus others that may look just appealing, but the elevation short or lower. And depending on the soil content, there could be more fill that needs to be added.
Yeah, so we're hearing soil content, we're hearing
Yes.
elevation. Now, I know sometimes, and if you have looked to maybe build a home in a country, you probably have heard this term before, and it's called perk testing. What do you have, kind of maybe a little description of that,
Sure.
and then what that is for?
Well, what a perk test is to test the soil to see if it's suitable for a regular septic system. In other words, does it need to be a regular system or what's referred to as an engineered system? There are more and more options out there in the septic world. However, the least expensive type of septic is if the ground does what's called perk. In other words, does it have 48 inches of sand or more? That can change the cost of a septic system substantially.
Again, it's a very complex issue, and obviously we could go into deep detail, but hopefully a couple of those terms like, elevation and looking at that perk test and getting a good builder, just like Steve mentioned, that's competent and knows the area, knows the land, and can really help you through those steps, will hopefully guide you and save a few of those headaches. Is there anything else that you think might be a good thing to hit on before we wrap up the video?
When it comes to country properties, the most important is the site work. Site work will be one of your largest expenses. Don't be just looking at price per square foot of a home, because the price of your site work can be a substantial game changer.
Well, there you have it. Site work, site work, site work. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Again, if you do have questions, don't hesitate to contact us. If I don't know the answer, this guy will. And we'd be happy to guide you along your journey with building. Like I said, it can be intimidating. It can have a lot of headaches, but it can also be a really rewarding experience as long as you deal with the right people. So if you didn't catch part 1, make sure to catch part 1 if you're looking at a subdivision. This should cover a few things for that country rural setting, and we'll catch you soon on the next video. Thanks so much.